Hello and welcome to my presentation, Unveiling the Truth, Greenwashing and Sustainable Finance, to be presented at the 2023 International Conference on Renewable and Sustainable Energy to be held in Barcelona, Spain, on September 25-27, 2023. The conference is a premier conference focusing on identifying the current problems generating viable solutions to the world's challenges associated with climate change and addressing the quest for sustainable development goals and the transition to a low-carbon future as established by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Introduction. Brief introduction of the concept of greenwashing and sustainable finance. Greenwashing, originating from the 1980s, is a deceptive tactic where companies falsely promote themselves as eco-friendly. This misleading strategy can manifest in vague claims, false labels, and a lack of evidence or transparency. In sustainable finance, greenwashing might involve misrepresenting investments as green when they are not, misleading investors. A notable example is Volkswagen, a prominent automobile company that admitted to cheating emissions tests by fitting various vehicles with a defect device. This device could detect when the car was undergoing an emissions test and alter the performance to reduce emissions. This happened while the company publicly touted its vehicles' low emissions and eco-friendly features in marketing campaigns. Explain the importance of the study and its relevance in the current context. The study of greenwashing and sustainable finance is crucial today due to rising environmental awareness and the surge in demand for sustainable investments. However, the absence of clear standards for green investments creates opportunities for greenwashing. Such practices can erode the sustainable finance market's trust, impede the shift to a low-carbon economy, and misallocate resources. For instance, JP Morgan Chase was identified as a major financier of fossil fuels, providing over $268 billion since the 2016 Paris Agreement, contradicting its public commitment to sustainability and climate change mitigation. This case highlights the urgent need for increased transparency and regulation in sustainable finance to prevent greenwashing and ensure investors' funds genuinely contribute to environmental sustainability. State the research questions you aim to answer. This research aims to answer the following questions. What are the prevalent forms of greenwashing and sustainable finance, and how do they manifest in different sectors? How does greenwashing affect the credibility and functioning of the sustainable finance market? What are the potential measures to combat greenwashing and sustainable finance, and how effective are they? How does greenwashing and sustainable finance affect investor behavior and decision-making? These questions are designed to provide a comprehensive understanding of greenwashing and sustainable finance, its implications, and potential solutions. Methodology. Scoping review methodology. This study employs a scoping review methodology to investigate greenwashing and sustainable finance. A scoping review systematically maps key concepts, evidence types, and research gaps in a specific field. It is especially useful for emerging topics like greenwashing, where diverse study designs may be relevant. We have adhered to the preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analyses for scoping reviews, ensuring a rigorous and transparent review process. This approach is ideal for our study, offering a comprehensive exploration of greenwashing and sustainable finance, highlighting primary sources, research methods, key findings, and potential areas for future research. Identifying relevant literature. To ensure a comprehensive literature review, we systematically searched various databases using keywords and Boolean operators. Databases included PubMed, Web of Science, Scopus, Google Scholar, and more. Both peer-reviewed articles and gray literature were considered. The search strategy was iterative and refined as new studies emerged. We also hand-search reference lists to capture any missed studies. Diagram 1 illustrates the article selection process, detailing identification, exclusions, and final inclusions. In the first phase, we identified 80 records from various sources. After applying inclusion criteria and assessing eligibility, 51 articles were selected for the review. In the second phase, from the initial 537 records identified from databases and registers, 143 articles met our criteria and were included in the analysis after a thorough screening and eligibility assessment. After identifying pertinent literature, it is systematically analyzed to address the research question. Data, including study characteristics, methods, and key findings, are extracted using a standardized form for consistency. This data is then synthesized through narrative descriptions or thematic analysis to offer insights into greenwashing and sustainable finance, covering its tactics, impacts, and strategies. Thus, the scoping review methodology thoroughly explores greenwashing, enriching theoretical and practical understanding in the domain. Literature review. Greenwashing and sustainable finance is a well-researched topic. Delmas and Burbano analyze its drivers, emphasizing internal and external factors, such as corporate image enhancement and regulatory compliance. Walker, DiSisto, and McBain discuss the incentives and barriers to green practices in supply chain management, while Lyon and Montgomery note greenwashing's potential harm to corporate reputation. Pargel, Benoit Moreau, and Larseneau suggest it might temporarily boost financial performance until consumers recognize the deceit. Stakeholders, especially consumers and investors, play a pivotal role in greenwashing dynamics. Seal and Gaddy emphasize their influence on corporate strategies, while Du, Bhattacharya, and Sen discuss how perceptions of corporate social responsibility impact responses to greenwashing. Markey, Toffel, and Joe advocate for stricter regulations and proactive monitoring to combat greenwashing. Mitchell, Wallace-Croft, and Hyam stress the importance of consumer education. Laufer warns that greenwashing can mislead sustainability perceptions, causing resource misallocation, a sentiment echoed by TerraChoice. Sector-specific studies, like those by Doverney and Lister on palm oil and Lyon and Maxwell on automobiles, underline greenwashing's widespread nature. The literature offers a comprehensive view of greenwashing, its drivers, impacts, and countermeasures, but further research on its long-term effects and counter-strategy effectiveness is needed. Corporate strategies and practices in greenwashing, tactics and techniques. Greenwashing employs diverse and sophisticated tactics, making it hard for consumers and investors to differentiate between genuine and deceptive sustainability practices. Companies often use vague terms like eco-friendly without concrete evidence or certification. They might also make irrelevant or misleading claims about a product's environmental benefits. In sustainable finance, greenwashing can manifest as a misrepresentation of an investment product's environmental advantages or misuse of funds from green bonds, diverting them from genuine green projects to other corporate purposes. Examples of greenwashing tactics abound. For instance, fashion brands like H&M, Zara, and Uniqlo were caught greenwashing. These brands contribute to the massive amounts of textile waste caused by the clothing industry. Similarly, BP, a fossil fuel giant, changed its name to Beyond Petroleum and added solar panels to its gas stations despite spending more than 96% of its annual budget on oil and gas. Nestle, Coca-Cola, and Starbucks have also been accused of greenwashing for misleading claims about their products' recyclability or the sustainability of their practices. JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, and Bank of America have been criticized financially for promoting green investment opportunities while lending enormous sums to industries that contribute significantly to global warming, such as fossil fuels and deforestation. These examples illustrate companies' wide range of tactics and techniques to greenwash their products, services, and practices. Sector-specific analysis. In the food and beverage industry, McDonald's made headlines in 2019 when it launched a campaign to reduce single-use plastics in its stores, focusing on replacing all plastic straws with recyclable paper alternatives. However, it was later revealed that the new paper straws were not recyclable, and their sourcing and manufacturing raised different sustainability questions. Royal Dutch Shell has faced several court cases in the energy sector due to greenwashing. Despite launching campaigns and interviews describing itself as committed to global net zero programs, reducing carbon emissions, and helping the world fight global warming, Shell has continued exploring new oil and gas production opportunities. It has only devoted 1% of its spending to renewable energy. In the consumer goods sector, Nestle announced in 2019 that it had ambitions for its packaging to be 100% recyclable or reusable by 2025. However, environmental groups criticized the company for not releasing clear targets, a timeline to accompany its ambitions, or additional efforts to help facilitate consumer recycling. Nestle, Coca-Cola, and PepsiCo were named the world's top plastic polluters for the third year. A recent study by Orazalim and Tim and Malagila found that companies often employ greenwashing tactics to create positive impressions among stakeholders and protect their legitimacy. The study also revealed that the impact of greenwashing varies across different sectors and periods. Another study by Madden argued that companies should focus on innovation rather than relying on environmental, social, and governance metrics to lead the transition to net zero emissions. The study highlighted the complexity of navigating the path to net zero emissions and the critical role of innovation in this process. Stridsland, LKK, and Sanderson also emphasized the importance of transparency and emission disclosure to prevent greenwashing. They argued that companies should use greenhouse gas inventories for accounting and decision support to enhance the green transition. These examples illustrate how greenwashing can manifest in different sectors, highlighting the need for consumers and investors to be vigilant and critical of companies' environmental claims. Impact on corporate reputation and financial performance. Greenwashing can initially boost a company's image, attracting eco-conscious consumers and investors. However, when deceptive practices are exposed, they can tarnish the company's reputation, leading to decreased sales, investment, and potential legal consequences. Furthermore, Goss and Roberts' study indicates that companies with questionable corporate social responsibility practices, like greenwashing, face higher bank loan costs, suggesting banks view them as riskier investments. In addition to these academic findings, some examples further illustrate the impact of greenwashing on corporate reputation and financial performance. For instance, the German car manufacturer Volkswagen suffered a significant blow to its reputation and a sharp drop in sales following the revelation of its emissions scandal in 2015. The scandal, which involved the company cheating on emissions tests, led to billions of dollars in fines and lawsuits, demonstrating the severe financial consequences of greenwashing. Another example is the British multinational oil and gas company BP, which faced a public backlash and legal challenges after it was revealed that the company had misled the public about its environmental practices. Despite its efforts to rebrand itself as a green company, BP's reputation was severely damaged, and it was forced to pay billions of dollars in fines and compensation for the environmental damage caused by its operations. These examples underscore the potential risks and costs associated with greenwashing, highlighting the importance of genuine commitment to environmental sustainability for corporate reputation and financial performance. The impact of greenwashing on stakeholder perceptions and behavior. Consumer perceptions and responses. Consumers increasingly prioritize corporate social responsibility, as noted by Benabou and Tyrrell. However, greenwashing, or falsely portraying products as environmentally friendly, can erode this trust, potentially reducing sales and harming a company's reputation. Misrepresenting investment products can deter consumers from sustainable finance, slowing capital flow to genuinely sustainable initiatives. Walker, DiSisto, and McBain's study highlighted that greenwashing can diminish a company's legitimacy in green supply chain management. Furthermore, Barnett and Salomon's research indicates a U-shaped relationship between corporate social and financial performance, suggesting companies with either very high or low social performance fare better financially than those in the middle. In terms of examples, the case of the Swedish multinational clothing retail company H&M. In 2017, H&M launched a conscious collection, claiming that the clothes were made with sustainable materials. However, the Norwegian Consumer Authority accused H&M of greenwashing, arguing that the company provided insufficient information about the sustainability of the clothes and misled consumers into believing that the clothes were more sustainable than they were. This case led to a public outcry and calls for boycotts of H&M. These examples highlight the potential consequences of greenwashing for consumer perceptions and responses, underscoring the importance of transparency and honesty in companies' environmental claims. Investor perceptions and responses. Investors are increasingly prioritizing environmental concerns in their investment decisions. Greenwashing, or falsely portraying products as environmentally friendly, erodes trust and can deter investment, hindering genuinely sustainable projects and the shift to a low-carbon economy. Research by Walker and Dyke indicates that institutional investors prefer companies with robust environmental performance. However, greenwashing can deter these investors, affecting a company's financial standing. Another study by Laurenko et al. Revealed that companies practicing greenwashing experience poor stock market performance, indicating growing investor discernment against deceptive environmental claims. Examples include the case of Deutsche Bank's funds arm, DWS, is illustrative. In 2023, DWS was accused of greenwashing by misleading investors about its green investments. The company, which manages €928 billion in assets, faced significant backlash from investors and the public, leading to the resignation of its CEO. Another example is the case of Holland & Knight, a law firm that launched a greenwashing mitigation team in 2023. The team is aimed at advising companies accused of failing to live up to their own environmental goals, highlighting the increasing legal risks associated with greenwashing. These examples highlight the potential consequences of greenwashing for investor perceptions and responses, underscoring the importance of transparency and honesty in companies' environmental claims. Policy and regulation. The role of regulatory bodies in preventing greenwashing. Regulatory bodies are essential in curbing greenwashing by setting environmental standards, ensuring transparency, and penalizing misleading practices. Like the European Union's taxonomy for sustainable activities, clear standards offer a benchmark for companies' environmental claims. Transparency is promoted through mandatory disclosures, such as the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's guidance on climate change-related risks. Penalties for deceptive claims act as deterrents, raising the stakes for companies considering greenwashing. However, the persistence of greenwashing indicates that current regulations might be inadequate. Further research is crucial to enhance regulatory strategies, as seen when the United Kingdom's Competition and Markets Authority investigated the fashion industry's green claims in 2021. Anti-greenwashing regulations in different countries, including the United States, the European Union, and China, have implemented measures to combat greenwashing tailored to their unique contexts. In the U.S., the Federal Trade Commission's Green Guides offer businesses guidance on environmental claims. While not legally binding, companies can face action for deceptive practices. However, the voluntary nature of these guides has led to calls for revisions and stricter standards. The European Union counters greenwashing through the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive and the European Union Taxonomy. The former prohibits misleading practices, while the latter classifies sustainable activities for the financial sector. Critics believe both need more robust enforcement and more precise standards. China combats greenwashing with policies like the Environmental Protection Law and the Green Securities Policy, which mandate environmental disclosures. However, enforcement challenges and limited public awareness persist. In summary, while anti-greenwashing regulations exist globally, their effectiveness varies. Stricter standards, robust enforcement, and increased public awareness are essential for genuine progress. Effectiveness of current regulations in curbing greenwashing. Scholars debate the efficacy of current regulations against greenwashing. Lyon and Montgomery contend that regulations like the U.S. Federal Trade Commission's Green Guides and the EU's Unfair Commercial Practices Directive offer guidance, but their voluntary nature and vague standards limit their impact. They believe the allure of greenwashing's benefits might overshadow regulatory risks. Markey, Toffel, and Joe note that greenwashing is more prevalent in countries with lax regulatory enforcement. Conversely, Doverney and Lister argue that regulations can effectively deter greenwashing when paired with public pressure and market incentives. Yet, the persistent issue of greenwashing indicates that current measures might be insufficient, necessitating further research into more effective strategies. Role of institutions and non-governmental organizations. Institutions and non-governmental organizations are pivotal in countering greenwashing through advocacy, education, research, and standard setting. Institutions like the International Organization for Standardization have introduced standards like ISO 14020 to prevent misleading environmental claims. Non-governmental organizations, such as Greenpeace and the Rainforest Action Network, actively expose greenwashing, advocate for stringent regulations, and provide resources for informed decision-making. Academics like Lyon and Montgomery emphasize non-governmental organizations' role in monitoring corporate actions and promoting transparency. Markey, Toffel, and Joe highlight institutional investors' potential to pressure companies for genuine environmental commitment. In essence, both institutions and non-governmental organizations are instrumental in ensuring corporate transparency and genuine sustainability efforts. Discussion. This research offers pivotal insights into greenwashing and sustainable finance, enriching both theoretical understanding and practical applications. Theoretically, it expands on the nuances of greenwashing, emphasizing the need for more research on countermeasures and stakeholder roles. Practically, the findings are invaluable for stakeholders like governments, businesses, NGOs, and investors. Governments are urged to enforce stringent regulations, promote transparency, and collaborate internationally. Businesses are cautioned about the long-term repercussions of greenwashing, as highlighted by Lyon and Maxwell, and are encouraged to adopt genuine environmental practices. Non-governmental organizations play a vital role in advocacy and monitoring, as pointed out by Doverny and Lister. Consumers and investors, becoming increasingly eco-conscious, as noted by Walker and Dyke, need to evaluate environmental claims to avoid being misled critically. In essence, the research emphasizes the significance of transparency and accountability in sustainable finance, urging continued efforts to mitigate greenwashing. Conclusion. Greenwashing in sustainable finance is multifaceted, often characterized by misleading claims and a lack of transparency. This study underscores its prevalence, citing examples from major companies like Volkswagen, H&M, and JP Morgan Chase. While greenwashing might temporarily boost a company's image, exposure to such practices can harm reputation, trust, and financial performance, as seen with Volkswagen and British Petroleum. Stakeholders, especially environmentally conscious consumers and investors, can feel betrayed by greenwashed products, as evidenced by H&M and Deutsche Bank's DWS. While regulatory bodies and NGOs play a role in curbing greenwashing, their success could be more consistent, indicating the need for more robust measures. This study, though comprehensive, leans heavily on secondary data, suggesting a deeper exploration into greenwashing's intricacies is needed. Future research should delve into the underlying mechanisms of greenwashing, evaluate regulatory effectiveness, and assess stakeholder responses. Ultimately, understanding and addressing greenwashing is vital for genuine environmental sustainability. This study emphasizes the importance of authentic sustainable finance in transitioning to a low-carbon economy. Thank you very much for your time and attention. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel to watch academic and research videos and news.